God has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. So, welcome to a beautiful Monday. My name is Oluwayomi Ute, and it's such a joy to come your way this Monday on this edition of Knocks to Nuggets. So, today I'll be talking to you about history, and said history a teacher or a killer. Is history a teacher or is history a killer? So, what's history? I love to define it so we're just all on the same page. I know you know what history is, but let's look at it. What actually is history? History is the study of past events, particularly in human affairs. So it's something that has happened. History is the whole series of past events connected with a particular person or thing. That's history. History is the study of the human past that is described in written documents left behind by humans. And I love this part. It says history is the past with all of its complicated choices and events. So, to everyone joining me this morning live, thank you so much for your share of your time. And for those that will join me after this broadcast, thank you so much. So, I have a favor to ask of you. Like this video, share it, tell your friends about the Knocks to Nugget pages, whether it's YouTube or it's Instagram or it's Facebook. Like it, follow me on this medium, on all of this media, and I'm sure together we'll always make impact in our world. So, having defined history, let's look at some quotes about history. What have people said in time past about history? Indira Gandhi, she said, history is the best teacher with the worst students. History, the best teacher with the worst students. Why is it the best teacher with the worst students? Many never learn from history. If we learn from history, many things that are happening today will not be happening. But they are because we do not learn from history. Rosa Luxemburg said, history is the only teacher, the only true teacher. But said the revolution is the best school for the proletariat. Proletariat, the working class. So revolution is the best school for the proletariat. And that caught my attention. Why is revolution the best school for the working class? Because many never learn. We keep hoping against hope until the inevitable happens, and then we start running helter-skelter, and it repeats itself again and again. But today I'm challenging you to let history be your teacher and not a killer. Prophet Muhammad said, history is the best teacher of all categories. History is the best teachers. Now, there are four categories of teachers, four basic categories of teachers. You have the mediocre teacher. The mediocre teacher simply just tells the story, and that is where it ends. They have the good teacher. The good teacher does not just tell the story, it goes a step further to explain it. So he's a good teacher. But then you have the superior teacher. It tells, he explains, and then it demonstrates. But then you have the great teacher that tells, explains, demonstrates, but much more inspires. I know the truth. History is all of this. But the difference is this: it depends on you. History on its own does nothing. What you do with history determines whether it will tell, it will explain, it will demonstrate, or inspire. And that was why John Maxwell said, experience, which is what I'm saying is history today, is not the best teacher. He said, evaluated experience is. Experience on its own, history on its own, may not be the best teacher. But when you can sit back, evaluate, glean from it, and learn from it, then it's history. It's a good teacher. It's the best teacher. Now, if you just read history like any book, it tells you a story. That's a mediocre teacher. You learn nothing from it. If you read it and take your time to try to understand it, he explains to you what happened and why what happened. And that's just it. So it's a good teacher. But when you read history, you look at it closely and you try to imagine what it's saying, then it demonstrates, then it's a superior teacher. But when you read history, you think about it, you evaluate it, and you learn from it, then it's a great teacher. It's an inspirational teacher. It inspires you. So what you do with history actually determines whether it's telling, it's explaining, it's demonstrating, or it's inspiring. The choice is really yours. Now let's look at it. Everybody has a past. You do and I do. Everybody has a past. Is your past holding you down, or is your past helping you to move forward? That's the question. Everyone has done something he or she is not proud of. Every single person. So the fact that you did something that you can't even imagine, how could I have done this? And you are feeling so bad about it, does not mean you are the only one. Is it right to be wrong? No. Everybody does something that you're not proud of. But when you have realized it and you have come out of that thing, what do you need to do? Wake up, dust yourself, and move on. Don't wallow in the mud of self-pity. And that's my cry to you today. Don't wallow in the mud of self-pity. It will not help you. Today, suicide rate is on the increase because I hear somebody says, I can't forgive myself. And I'm wondering, really? And my question to people that tell me that is this: are you bigger than God? Yeah. Are you bigger than God? If you are not bigger than God, hello, then forgive yourself. You know why? God has forgiven you. If God can forgive you, why can't you forgive yourself? Case in point, David and Bathsheba. We know the story, Bible students. David was, I'm sure when he realized what he had done, he felt like entering into the hole. When Bathsheba had that child and the child was ill, David fasted, he prayed in sackcloth and ashes, will not do anything. And even his servants were wondering, if our master is this bad when this child is ill, when we now tell him he's dead, what will happen? But then he sniffed and realized that something had gone wrong and asked the people and said, oh, the child is dead. He got up, he cleaned himself, and they were wondering, when the child was sick, you were so depressed. Now he said, well, it's done. I can't bring him back. I can only go to him. I now need to leave. I have repented. I now need to leave. And look at it. God forgave him. And from that same woman came Solomon. Let's ask, what if David did not get up? What if he stayed there, wallowing in self-pity and maybe committed suicide? Will we be talking about him today? The answer is clearly a no. We will not be talking about him today. We can only talk about David, the greatest king of Israel, because he could get up from that situation. He could get up from that experience and move forward. Another example is Paul the apostle. It was the Saul that persecuted every Christian that he knew. But when he came to realize that what he was doing was wrong, he did a 180-degree turn. And he moved in a different direction. He didn't sit there and start crying, oh no, I killed people. Oh no, I was wrong. Oh no, no. The easiest way to show your remorse is to get up and move forward. Yes. Does God still judge sin? He does. Does God hate sin? No. But God hates sin, yes, but he loves sinners. So you have missed it, I agree. Did God like what you did? No, he did not. But is he waiting to break your head? No. He's telling you, okay, it's time to move on. If you refuse to forgive yourself, you are actually committing a bigger sin. You are exalting yourself above God. You are saying what God can forgive, you cannot, because you are bigger than God. You actually are not being holy. You are not being pious. You are actually being proud. So come off the high horse today and learn to forgive yourself. So what do? First, acknowledge that what you have done is wrong. Yes. Repent of it. Learn from it. Let it be the great teacher that is inspiring you to say, this thing, I will never do it again. And then move on. If what you did was a result of a particular company you are keeping, change company, change environment. Don't sit down and wallow in self-pity. Suicide is not an option. Taking your own life is not an option to ending it. Yes, you have made a mistake. Yes, you are not proud of it. Yes, but you know what? You've got to learn from it. Don't let that mistake be your graveyard. Don't let history be a killer. Let history be a teacher. Like I said, I think that was last week. There are two types of people: those who learn from their own mistakes and those who learn from the mistakes of others. All of us have made mistakes, but I encourage you to be in the second category. Don't just learn from your own mistake, learn from the mistakes of others, and also let people be able to learn from your mistake. Don't be like a superstar that just fell from heaven that had no past. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. So you tell that child, I have never lied before. You actually just lied because you have lied before. And actually, in saying you have never lied before, you just lied. But that child will learn better if you said, oh, I know you lied because you're afraid of the consequences. I've been there. I have lied too to avoid consequences, but I found out it's better to own up to it than to lie. When I lied about it and they found out, it was worse for me. So I'm glad I have learned not to lie, but to confront it, apologize, and move on. So, yes, I know you just lied, but you don't have to lie. It's time for you to face it, correct yourself, and move on. I won't have killed you. I have only scolded you, spanked you maybe, and corrected you. That child will learn a lesson from it. But you come up and say, oh no, I have never lied before. How dare you tell a lie? You just lied. Let people learn from your errors, and you also should learn from other people's errors. That's the way life is, and that is the way life goes. So as you go into this week, I want to encourage you, let history be your teacher and not your killer. When those things hit at you, when you remember them, tell yourself, that was me then. I'm a new person now. I have moved on. God is not condoning sin, but he's telling you, get up and go on. Don't live in that mistake. Don't live in that error. God has forgiven you. Forgive yourself. Jesus paid the full price for the sin. So enjoy the grace of God today. Don't live in it. Move out of it and do your best. Give it your best bet to learn from that error. As you go into this week, don't bury yourself in the mud of the past, because your future is bright, your future is colorful, and I know you will succeed. This week has beautiful things in store for you. This thing has great and glorious things in store for you. Don't lose out on it on the altar of self-pity. Take a quality decision today not to live in self-pity or regret. Thank God now you know better. Make this week better than last week by learning from your experience and by learning from the experiences of others. Remember, John Maxwell said, experience on its own is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. So until next Monday, when I come your way in another edition of Knocks to Nugget, do me that favor, share this video, like it, pass your comments. You have experiences you want to share. Share those experiences. Let's have fun together and see you at the uncrowded top. And never forget this, together we win. God bless you. I love you. Have a glorious week ahead.